The Fantasy Skirmisher.
Hello everyone, this is Nevin. Welcome back to the Fantasy Skirmisher. Today we're going to be taking a look at 7TV Fantasy's newest adventure pack called Valley of Dread. The first one being Orsa the Fearless, which is a 1980s barbarian adventure. This one is pencil and paper adventuring, old school RPG style with the scenarios taking place underground. And I'll just read this back to you here. Welcome to this feature pack, an exciting format for you to play 7TV fantasy games. Players can pit their wits in a short-linked campaign in some of your favorite cinematic settings. In this pen and paper fantasy pack, we focus on the exploits of a brave band of heroes as they adventure in the frontier. Can they survive the traps and terrors that lay in the infamous Valley of Dread? Well, let's take a look. So opening this up, first of all, we have the rulebook, which we'll take a look at last. We do have a resin mini here. And this is a blood chalice, which looks like it is a MacGuffin, not an artifact. So let's take a look at the cards, see what we have here. All right, the small cards first. So we have a MacGuffin. And it is a blood chalice, which will be used during the campaign. And then we have injury cards. So this is going to be a brand new mechanic to 7TV Fantasy. So it looks like we have a crushed chest, smashed jaw, cracked skull. The artwork is horrific. Shattered arm, broken leg, and blinded eye. So we'll take a look at what that does when we open up the rule book. All right, now we have characters. So Malachi the Despised, he is a villainous star, so I'm sure he's like the boss monster. Mother Angeline, Sir James, we have a bugbear, and a corpse scavenger. Now let's take a look at the rules. All right, so first what we have here is just a description of the feature pack, the story so far, to get you into the story and into the campaign. Speaking of campaign, here are the campaign play rules, which looks like here it asks you just to, just like in a pencil and paper style, keep track of what your characters do because the situation for them can change in different scenarios. And then has the rules for injuries. So looks like here that a character can choose to take a damage instead of losing health. And if you have a monster that generates more than one wound, you could use an injury to take the place of one of the wounds. Also see here that each character could only take one injury, and the injury cards, once they're out, that's all you could use. And then here is the descriptor for the injury table. And then also there's rules of stealing the scene. It's changed a little bit in this campaign, I think, to better reflect fighting underground. And then this is just the fluff on making the movie of Valley of Dread. And then the casting call. So this is a detailed background description of all the characters, both the adventurers and the allies, as well as the Denzians of Dread, like Malachi the Despised. And then we get into the first scenario, Chapter 1, Tunnels and Traps, which kind of reminds me of Tunnels and Trolls, the old RPG, which I did a video on earlier. All right, so opening crawl, the cast. Now let's take a look at the different types of minis that we would need to play this scenario. So the main character, Sturker the Mighty, who's a barbarian. A lot of us have barbarians. Staffa the Old woman, Bellos, an agile archer. I took a look here. He's a male. Guard sergeant and 3 guards. And the villains is a kobold boss along with 8 kobolds, 3 tunnel spiders, 2 corpse scavengers, those are the centipede looking things, and a troll. So we've got the location descriptor along with the setup. These scenarios are played on 2x2 mats or tables. And here's the first one. So it looks pretty cool, and looks like the heroes start here in the middle and has special rules for being ambushed, and it's a trap. So there's traps in this scenario. And then the victory points. And then levels of victory and outcome for both the heroes and also the villains that you need to keep track of. And then we go into Chapter 2, Hall of the Goblin King. So in addition to the characters before, we have Sir James, and we also have Guard Sergeant for the villains, King Gore, the Goblin King, Zovan, the Bugbear, Korash, a vicious henchman, 2 bugbears, 2 goblin champions, 3 goblin warriors, and 2 ogres. And then description of the location and the setup. And as you can see here, I'm sure that's where the Goblin King is. Looks like there's some treasure chests, some tables, and it looks like we walk through a door, and that's where the scenario starts. And the red indicates the villainous setup area. Special rules includes alarm, back to back. So the Barbarian, Sirkar, and Sir James, if they're in base contact, they provide +2 mutual support for attack and defense. So that would be just like in Frostgrave or Rangers of Shadowdeep. King's Horde, and then the victory points and levels of victory again for heroic wins and villainous wins. And then Shrine of Evil, the last scenario. So the opening crawl, the background information, the cast. So in addition to before, we have Mother Angeline and Sister Agatha, who's a cleric, and 2 holy sisters who are monks. And then for the villains, the defenders, we have Malachi the Despised, so he's our villainous star, a tormented seer, a malign priest, a hellhound, 4 cultists, a skeleton champion, and 5 skeletons. There's a possibility that 5 zombies or 5 adventurers may come on the board too, so you'll need to have those handy. And then we have the location description with the setup. And you notice the setup is quite detailed, and that is what this playmat is here. So this playmat is optional purchase that you can make. It is 2x2, and certainly it could be used for a lot of other scenarios other than just this one. Also, Crooked Dice Games on their website, you can purchase files if you have access to a 3D printer, the archways and also the pillars. And so the special rules includes the Blood Chalice, that's that MacGuffin, which comes into play. And I won't describe it. Let's let that be a surprise for all of us, okay? Friend or foe. So part of the setup is some objective tokens, and these are people who are on the ground, and there's a possibility that they're still alive or they're zombies. So whenever you take a special action to roll a body over on a result of 1 of 2, you've got yourself a zombie fighting for the villainous cast. On a roll of 3 to 6, you have an adventurer who joins the heroic cast. And then, of course, we've got the victory points, and then we have the levels of victory and outcomes for the campaign. Now, you could play each of these scenarios or chapters independently, but of course, this works best as a dedicated campaign. Also, I just noticed that in this last scenario, you can use the encounter guide in 7TV Fantasy, and on page 30, here we go, you can play the ritual. So this just adds another level of plot and complexity to the scenario. All right, so that's what I have. I can't wait to get this on the table, and got a few monsters to purchase, but I think I have most of what I need to get this campaign played, which of course I will put on the channel. All right, thank you for watching this Fantasy Skirmisher, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.